those protein molecules come from, and we can recognize it in your DNA strands. The more complex the being, the higher proportion of junk DNA we have. So you're starting to use it as a mechanism to recognize the complexity of life. Something that a complete invertebrate, sort of an amoeba kind of thing, will have a very low percentage of junk DNA, whereas you can see a dog and a human being have a much higher percentage of junk DNA. It has to do something. With Darwin's theories, if it doesn't do anything, it gets dumped off the gene pool because it's useless. There's no point in having it. And 98% of our DNA has never been dumped off our gene pool, so it must be doing something. So the thought is that it actually codes for our environment, environmentally learned stuff. It codes for emotion. Trauma causes changes in the brain functioning, which causes changes in the stress hormones in the body, which is not a good thing. So I quite like that quote by Dr. George Pratt. He's a clinical psychologist, and that comes from the shadow effect. The only disease is stress, they reckon. Okay, the only disease is stress. Any kind of stress in the body it changes your central nervous system to the degree that you are running adrenaline through your system and you are out of balance, and it starts coding in your DNA immediately. So you're coding for stuff all the time. As soon as you feel any kind of rush of fear, you already start coding stuff into your DNA.
Explain coding.
Coding, it's like writing a book. So you journal to write down your thoughts. If you have a fear response in the body and it takes it out of homeostasis, which is generally balance, you start writing in your code, in your book. So it gets written into the DNA of your cells, because this is your book. Okay, and then your body starts to then behave or become what you've written. Okay. Yeah. So just to sort of put it very, very simply. This is my most favorite man. I think he has the most fun face, laughing eyes. Yeah. Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist and author of Biology of Belief. It's a fantastic book. I've read it cover to cover. There's so much information in there. He says if we change our interaction with our environment, we change our genetic potential. So there is nothing fixed in our biology. It's always changeable. Since we are not fixed, all of a sudden we realize how powerful we are as an individual in controlling our gene expression rather than buying into the belief of being victims of genetic determination. So, if you come from a family who has a lung weakness, it doesn't mean you have to have problems with your lungs. They've even taken case studies where children have been adopted into a family and they have the same health problems that the family have, and they don't even have the same genes as the family. So there's a lot of studies that are being done that it's environmental. It's where the cells live, where you live, and how you've been brought up, what you think, how you feel, your environment as far as pollutions and that kind of stuff goes. Everything needs to be taken into account when you are looking at the health of an organism. In his book, he talks about being more readily able to grow cells in a petri dish than he can in a human being, because he says there's no belief and no dogma in the petri dish. So the cells grow easier in the petri dish. He also says that your brain of your cell is not the nucleus of the cell. It's not the DNA of the cell. That's not the brain. The brain of the cell is the membrane of the cell. The genetic material, the DNA, is simply the reproductive organs of the cell. You can take the nucleus out of a cell and it won't die. If you take your brain out your head, you're going to die. The only thing it doesn't do is it can't reproduce itself, so it dies of old age eventually. Okay, so it's not actually the guts of the cell. It's not the control system of the cell. The control system is its membrane, and that's what's in contact with the environment. The unresolved issues that people have in their bodies, their emotions, have an absolute direct correlation with their bodies and with their health and their well-being. People think that their health is separate to their emotions, but they are intimately connected. So we go to a doctor and we say to the doctor, I have a headache, and he says, here, take this pill. Okay, what's causing the headache? There will be something, some resistance that the body's holding because of some kind of emotional dysfunctional imbalance in the body that's causing the headache. So what we try and do is we try and address the causes of things rather than going to the symptoms of it. The headache is the symptom. Whatever you have in your body the arthritises and the whatever, is the symptom of something that has gone deeper. There's something deeper than that. I always say your body's a thermometer. It will tell you what the temperature is outside. All right, now we look at body fluid, and this is such a funny concept to get your head around body fluid, because it's all the fluid of the body. I like to think of the body a little bit in terms of computer terminology, because you can get your head around computer terminology.
Some of us can.
Some of us can. The DNA is like your software that you install into your computer. Your body fluid is like the programmable, or the stuff that you can write with. So you use your keyboard to write. You write a Word document, for instance, and the more Word documents you write and save into your hard drive, into the body, written on the software programming that you have in your DNA, the more you use that program, the harder it is to change the program, because you've got all this stuff that you have to shift first before you can get to the program. Okay, so you've got to constantly clear that stuff before you can even get to the program. Everybody knows about Dr. Masaru Emoto. If you don't, Google him. He's a fantastic little Japanese man. He is Japanese, hey?
Yeah.
Don't want to get that wrong. And he's done experiments with water, where he uses words and music and blessings and things like that. And they bless the water and then they freeze it. And you get these beautiful hexagonal shapes. Okay. There is a huge benefit to blessing your food, blessing your water, doing something with intention. Even just saying thank you to your right there, thank you in French, that's what thank you does. It creates this beautiful hexagonal shape. Water is fundamentally the same structure as quartz crystal. You can program quartz crystal, you can program water. And that's what we're doing all the time when we look at the mirror and say, oh, you're looking old. You're programming the fluid of the body. Hexagonal water forms an organized crystalline matrix with properties that are different from ordinary water. So bless your water. Say thank you to your water. Allow it to do all of this type of hexagonal stuff. Okay, hexagonal water appears to play an important role in biological functions. It's being linked with improved hydration, enhanced nutrient absorption, DNA function, and improvements in metabolic efficiency. The amount of hexagonal water in the body has even been correlated with aging. This water is capable of storing information in a manner similar to how computers store data on a disk. This was the important line. Stored information is permanently fixed until one chooses to erase it and begin anew. And often we will run loads of programs from our beliefs that we've had as a child. We'd never ever sit and say, right, I want to change that. I don't want to think that way anymore. I don't want to feel that way anymore. We don't choose to change it. The interesting thing, this is the work of Marcel Vogel, and when he programs water, you have to put it through a magnetic field in order to